Wasn't here today. We both know. She says, "I want business to stay out yours," and you know what? It goes smooth that way.
Learning here about a lot of things.
You won't. You're totally. And that's really good. Because there's times I know like I've heard, and I don't like that. So you've got some pretty. Doesn't turn into something. Oh, was there a student rep? You're all repped up.
Good evening, everyone. Apologies for the extended executive session prior to the board meeting. We met with the attorney to discuss legal matters. So, apologies. With that, welcome you to the Montoursville School District's Board of Directors meeting on this Monday, July 19th at 7:20 p.m. And I would invite everyone to stand with me and receive the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time I'll ask our superintendent to take the roll call.
Here.
Dr. Beery. Here. Mr. Koppel.
Here.
Mrs. Marriott. Here. Mrs. Dr. Mathers is absent. Mr. Ruffing.
Here.
Mr. Snell.
Here.
Mr. Schimmel.
Here.
Mr. Elmer.
Here.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 1B. Are there any recommendations or presentations tonight, Superintendent?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, make a recognition.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, this is, I don't think my life
Turn it on. Roll. Okay.
Okay, this is a little non-traditional, but I'd like to start this evening off with a recognition of all the members of the public who submitted public input into the health safety plan that we will be discussing tonight. A lot of sweat and tears, I guess maybe the blood will come tonight, I hope not, was put into this. Especially, I'd like to give a shout out to Brenda Oberheim, Brittany, Sharon, Danielle, Hallie, and Jess. I think that's everyone for our marathon, 4-hour meeting, at which you provided input and shared your thoughts and ideas about this. I think this is basically a massive group project that some people did a lot of work on, and we're probably not all thrilled with the product. We have a little bit of tweaking to do tonight, but I'm hoping we can get this thing done tonight. Thank you.
board anything else? If not, student representative presentation, do you have anything for us tonight?
So one of the things the student body is going to be doing is a one-act play called My First Lockdown. It is not about quarantine. I promise. It is directed by Dylan Eck, who is a student of the body. It is going to be July 29th and 30th at 7 p.m. There is no admission, but donations are appreciated, and we will also be having band camp for all marching band students at the beginning of August. That's all I have.
Where is it located at? The what?
At the high school.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 2 on the agenda of the meeting in minutes. We have the June 8 regular meeting minutes and the June 22nd work session minutes. Board, have you had a chance to review them? Any corrections or amendments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve?
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. Chairman, Court.
Don't forget to announce the executive session we had on July 8th.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, July 8th, we also had an executive session. That was for personnel issues. Okay, this time then we'll have our prior presentation period. First up will be Pastor Larry Dillon of Faith United Methodist Church.
Good evening. Again, thank you to the administration, the staff, the volunteer school board, and all those who make Montoursville Area School District a place that my family and I are happy to live. From the letter of James, the 1st chapter, verse 19, we read these words: "My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." Now, it might seem odd for someone whose profession is speaking as a pastor to stand up before you tonight and say that everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. I'm grateful for the ways that our community continues to be involved in the process of leading our school, our district, and our students forward. But I'm partially here to remind us on the opportunities I'm able to join you, that as we do so, when we are quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, we set for our children the kind of a model for how we can talk with one another and not talk over one another, even in the midst of deep disagreements. So if you are comfortable, I invite you to join me in prayer. Gracious God, for this beautiful day, we give you thanks for the opportunity to gather tonight, share our thoughts, our hopes, our dreams, and even our uncertainties and fears. We give you thanks for those who give tirelessly of themselves as volunteers, as paid staff, and as interested persons from our community to do everything that we can for the kids. May that be our constant reminder, even as we are reminded when we gather, to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Next we have Ed Oberheim.
Brenda Oberheim, 192 Woodland Court. There are 3 topics I would like to touch on this evening. First, the public comment should be put back into the recorded board meetings. It should have never been taken out. Our taxpayers pay 3 IT people, and they should be capable of doing this job correctly and in a timely manner to get the recorded meetings online for the public to view. The taxpayers should never be shortchanged as far as information is concerned. That includes information from other taxpayers and their input in school board meetings. Second, we want the policy put back that says a board member can make a motion to call a vote, even if it's not on the agenda prior to the meeting. These first 2 topics I've mentioned were introduced because Mrs. Basin suggested the changes. These changes, along with a few board members' desire to do away with the second public comment in meetings, caused a lot of hard feelings between the public and the board. I recommend for the future that the board changes things that the public wants changed, not what they themselves and Mrs. Basin want changed. Lastly, at least 74 Montoursville taxpayers, including myself, have sent in a Moms for Liberty health and safety plan, which I'll hand out in a minute just so you all have a copy. This was a statement completely laying out exactly what we wanted in the health and safety plan. Sue Berry was present as we drafted its information. The current draft of the plan was recently posted on recently posted on the district web page. The one that's, I don't have it written, the current draft that the Montoursville School District put out is not the Moms for Liberty plan that we had submitted. Why is the public not being heard? The majority matters. The goalpost should not be moved to everyone gets to have something added to the health and safety plan. We do not want any medical testing or procedures having to do with COVID in school buildings or on district property. Please make sure the plan that is approved says no testing or vaccines given on district property. Our district property is for education and not for medical procedures. Also, the health and safety plan will not be approved or disapproved by the DOH. If you submit one, then you get the money. Attesting to follow government mandates should not be included. If it's not a law and only a mandate, our district can consider it when the time comes. Please make sure we are not agreeing to follow government mandates in the new health and safety plan. It's not necessary, therefore we should not be agreeing to it. We definitely live in a world where we can't just do what the government says because we believe they are thinking in the best interest of our kids. I'm sad that that isn't the case, but things are where they are. We need Montoursville school board members, to be on their A game. Please help parents protect our kids from the government who is currently offering money to you to let them do things we don't want done to our kids in schools. If we can't get this health and safety plan the way the parents want it, then we should not submit one. Unfortunately, the CDC, PDE, DOH are all on a mission to mask and vax our children. We want to be able to trust that this health and safety plan and any other decisions made by our school board in the future will keep our children safe from such mandates. A committee has been formed to decide how the ESSER's money will be used. I made a suggestion to Sue Berry that the people on the committee should be chosen by the whole board and not just a select few. From what I can see, the committee may not be diverse enough. If each school board member picks a parent to be on such committees, I think we would have a more diverse group helping to make suggestions and or decisions. Doing this will also stop the board only on the right side of the table from picking all committees. Please take whatever votes need to be taken to change the current way committees are chosen. The shirt I'm wearing says "Liberty once lost is lost forever" by John Adams. Please help us preserve our liberties concerning schools and school board meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item, folks. Item 3C, discussion and creation, the policy 6, the revision thereof. We discussed the legal ramifications in the executive session, and we have an agenda report tonight, I tossed out the idea that we know what Act 554 says, that I thought perhaps we have our policy chair revise that policy 6 just to streamline it and make it say no more or no less than what the Act says, which will be effective, I think, August 29th. That would functionally table item B3, unless we were trying to write that revision tonight. I don't know if we want to try to do that in the meeting, rewrite that revision. So would you all be comfortable with this? Let's put it back to the policy committee. We've got the Act, it's written, and then we'll just mirror that Act, and that actually is in many ways less restrictive. But in one way, it has a restriction that can't be overcome. It's that simple. So,
okay, maybe put it on the agenda, I guess maybe for the first meeting in August.
Okay. Would you still be able to work with the Act and the policy to, what's that? What will happen the week after?
Yeah, just the first meeting in August. It's
First
fine.
meeting? You good with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sue, will you be having a committee meeting then?
I think doesn't it have to be committee of the whole, so,
No, you can have your committee, but the board can attend, and it has to be public and posted and all that kind of thing. You know, so you can have a public meeting on that when it comes down to rewriting stuff. I was just thinking if you simply pared down, which is what it is, pared down policy 06, and it just mirrored the Act 540.
yeah.
Act 554, it's going to mirror that. So some of the things that are in our policy now would actually go away, but it still has that 24-hour statutory requirement that can't be overcome.
I guess, Ron, would you like a separate committee meeting, or you want me to just put something on the agenda and then we can discuss it and edit it on the...
Well, if you're going to have committee members talk over, if you're going to talk over with committee members, it needs to be a public meeting.
That's why I said if she were to present a draft, but if she wants to have that committee meeting, absolutely. And then any board members who wish to attend that. So
do you object to me just doing it in line with the statute, since...
that. Well, you okay with that? First,
yeah, and I just want to bring up too, we keep saying, or you keep saying, Dave, that's Act 554. It's actually Act 65. It was Senate Bill 554.
Thank you, yes. Okay. And okay, board, does that suit you to proceed that way? And so feel free, if you decide to have you decide you like that committee meeting, then we do that. Okay. Okay. Now this time it's public comment section of the meeting. Board or the public can comment on any items related to Montoursville School District, the matters of concern, official action that was previously taken, a deliberation before the board tonight for action that we may be taking. The public is provided one unpaused 3-minute time frame, and when you come to the podium, let us know your name and address.
I'm Michael Kraft, 71 Carriage Square. And just before I start, I think it would be helpful for everyone to understand the act that you're talking about is the Sunshine Act, and it regulates public meetings being held. So I think the policy would be before all that intention there is resolved by the state to change that act, and that's what we're talking about. So it's always great to provide context. So what I want to start, I was doing bills last night, and I opened up my tax bill, and just kind of processing that. And I looked at the amounts over the last few years, and I'm very complained that the growth in taxes is troubling. Not because they're too high, They're not high enough, by my estimates, to cover the growth in school expenses without sacrificing what the school is supposed to do. So I'm doing my calculus in terms of participating in business. I'm looking at our expenses on the medical side and the personnel side. On the infrastructure side, I'm trying to compute the growth rate in our taxes versus the school maintaining the same level of its curriculum, the same level of its infrastructure in school, and making the critical decisions to make certain we're covering that. So the math for me is not computed on that front. And it's troubling because not only here but other school districts I'm seeing nationwide is that the media coverage is focused not on that stuff that actually I benefited as a child from great programs, not 40 years ago. But we benefited from all that great funding at school, and we are not giving that same privilege to our children today. We're over-focused on some short-term distractions influenced by national politics, and it's coming at the expense of the critical discussions that we need to have in the future direction of this district. So, the bottom line is we've got to keep the national politics out of our local school administration and the benefits that we provide our children. I'm going to say from the opening, I absolutely agree with Brenda's comment that the health and safety plan needs to follow the law and applicable regulations. It doesn't need to do any more and any less. And I would further qualify that in this case, it's the most difficult homework assignment in the world. You turn the paper in, you're eligible for the funds. Doesn't matter actually what's in the plan, but if you miss turning your homework in by a certain date, you miss the funding. Okay, so you tie that to my opening remark. I'm troubled by the financial status of this district and what appears to be some short-term discussion that will come at the expense of the long-term future of the district. So, I expect that no one here is actually trying to consciously take down the district's performance intentionally. And all the comments, any comments that were spoken today and before, are being made with the best interests of the children of the entire community, who we are morally charged to take care of, and for each board member to apply off, and the law and the statutes that apply. However, the troubling crossroads that I'm seeing, okay, that you really have here this evening, don't attend very many meetings, probably should, is that those listservs to achieve what we want. Misunderstanding and miscommunication. Okay, at the beginning of the day is what causes things to go off the track. And when you take that misunderstanding, miscommunication, or just lack of communication, right, not even the mispart, when that's enabled by misinformation that's floating around over the national political scene, then we have a really long situation. Okay? It doesn't serve the schools well. Okay, and a lot of this stuff today is influenced by social media amplification, and you know what? Everybody poke that out. Now, that's not paranoia. If you want to know what I do for a day job, come see me after the meeting. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, we don't want to be played by the national scene where our own children take care of, where the school district is responsible to take care of. I will agree, I found out I don't know exactly about, is that it actually passes, is that our communication problem needs to amp up. These are not going to be easy discussions that we have to have, okay, in terms of keeping the school on a long-term track. We've got some immediate issues, and we've got a cloud of whatever last year COVID we had. So, the bottom line is, I firmly believe everybody in this room is acting in the best interest of the children. Sometimes it gets distracted, and wrapping it up, double it. It just needs to get done. If you can't hand your homework in time, it's not even graded, you get a paper handed in, shame on us. It's downright irresponsible for not getting it in time. So, if you can't get it done today, select the date when you're going to get that done. Because there are no conditions attached to yes or no. Oh, then turn your homework in on time. Okay, so let's get that done. Thank you.
I'm starting to say, just full disclosure, I know that's this committee. Today, I had nothing to do with this health and safety. Today's the first day I looked at it. But just looking over it, and Mrs. Overhand's concerns, looking at point F on here, it says, no MASD employee will provide screening or testing. No testing will be allowed within school buildings. However, the district will share with any interested persons such facilities that offer testing and screening will be included. What I'm reading here is that there will be no testing or anything done. If a parent or somebody says, hey, you know, I can get my kid tested or whatever, you know, you'll provide that information. But there's nothing in here saying if you're going to test, you're and everything I'm reading in here is literally what she was asking for that I heard. I've not seen the,
It was the word buildings. We don't want them even like a wagon pulled up. We just don't want any of it, like on school property.
on property, so they want the word buildings changed to property. Okay, so but everything I'm reading here is that they will follow the law as required, which as of right now is a federal statute requiring masking on the buses and vans. Everything else in here that I'm reading is basically saying that if it's a law, it'll be followed, everything else will be evaluated. And I agree with all of those points. Just from my point, and I would echo the last speaker. All you have to do is turn in health and safety and then we get the money, which can be applied to a lot of things within the district. And so, yeah. All right, thank you.
Greg Scott, 201, from the Lane, that's really loud. I just want to begin by a comment to Mr. Schimmel sent me an email asking for the fill record, please. I did look for that today, so I'm going to find that. I promise you I'll find it. I had it at one point. I've got so much research these days on my desk. With regard to the health and safety plan, paragraph A, I just want to point out with regard to school buses, under 49 United States Code, section 5302, 14B, small 4, that's I4. The term public transportation does not include a school bus. It actually uses the word school bus service. So I don't believe that it follows public transportation, which in my mind would mean that all that needs to be done tonight, if someone so chooses to do so, would be to make a motion to delete the language beginning at however, comma, following current federal statutes established in May 2021, and then ending with the word abolish. And then just as a side,
Let me see if the battery.
Shake it or?
You out off?
I just want to mention there was a June 30th, 2021 article that came out. It was actually originally published in Europe, titled Carbon Dioxide Content Under Those, now covering the children without potential risks, a measured study on children. It was republished in the Journal of American Medical Association Network, June 30th, 2021. Experimental assessment of carbon dioxide content.
and inhale here with or without face masks and help children. Basically what this study found is in Germany, there's an acceptable limit of carbon dioxide in the room. It's about 0.2% by volume or 2,000 ppm. They did a study with parents that were willing to deal with about 42 students. They ranged in age from 7 to I believe 15. They found the worst readings of carbon dioxide were on a 7-year-old. And that was at 25,000 ppm. 2,000 acceptable limit, 25,000 to be measured. Now I will note, someone does a deep dive on this very quickly, I know in a few minutes, that this article now appears retracted as of the last 72 hours. And this again requires us to use our critical thinking. So the retraction statement indicates the reason for that is because of the equipment they use. They used a Tesco 868 thermal imager. This is a picture of it. Looks fine to me. I bet it's probably more complicated than ones used in school.
They also use the geotech model G100 CO2 analyzer, which I would note that I found an article from an environmental magazine in Europe that indicates that that particular machine has been ISO certified. Our ocean uses ISO certification since 2018. So regardless of what the retraction says, and the retraction is based on the fact that they didn't use machinery they felt was qualified to measure carbon dioxide. I think we'll find out that's not the case, and that these kids are breathing in carbon dioxide at very unhealthy and scary rates. That's why you're seeing things like nausea, dizziness, passing out. There's plenty of videos out there that effect. So I just want to applaud you guys. I like the overall plan. I just wanted to make a comment about the school bus, but I don't believe it's necessary in the public transportation. Thank you. Thank you.
Jack Callahan, 113 North Street in Montoursville. I want to mention about Noah Kirby, who's a 12-year-old, plays on Blaze Alexander Little League team. He's one of 20 to represent the Montoursville Little League at the home run hitting contest on ESPN at Bowman Field at the World Series time. And Kirby, he finished second at Kansas City to go on to come back to Williamsport and try to win the contest here in Williamsport. And I'd like also to mention, I think graduation next year, if somebody could put on the scoreboard, maybe 2022, there's a couple of places that could be done in lights that would add a little bit of something. You can see the scoreboard there. It's just there, and 2022 for graduation might add a little bit.
Okay.
Good evening, Paul Winter, Chestnut Street. We already talked about your health and safety plan, which is very excellent. It's really hoping that see what comes to the way to plan. And as with many people here, for the most part, I'm happy with it. But there are a couple of things. First, as Mrs. Dad said, the busing thing. Now, aside from the fact that I thought we throw all the statute down, I know it's a typo. It is not a federal statute. It is a guideline from the CDC. I know the news outlets call it a mandate, but even HHS on their website calls it a guideline. You're not required to follow that. You're elected officials. Bear in mind, this is how it works. You are elected by the people. You get to make the rules. Bureaucrats in Washington, bureaucrats in Atlanta, bureaucrats in Harrisburg only get to make the rules the legislature has specifically told them they can make. And no legislature has given any of these people the authority to make any of these rules. Which brings me to my second objection to your plan, and that is Section 3I. This is the district will follow the laws and mandates of the Pennsylvania Department of Education and the Pennsylvania Department of Health. And review any recommendations. Well, I don't have any written recommendations. That's probably a good idea. We should review their recommendations, and we shouldn't blindly accept them. Also, as kind of I stated earlier, the Department of Health and the Department of Education do not make law. They are subject to law. And none of these mandates that have come from them have any legislative mandates behind them. They're kind of spitting out whatever the governor and his cronies have told them to say. You're not bound by that. I'd like to see that follow thing gotten out there. I'm fine. You should consider recommendations. You should all consider the recommendations. And we should all consider them along with all the information that we can find on the site. And that's what I'd like to see, and that's what I'd like to see in here. I think we can strike that school bus thing. And if you want to talk about masks on school buses, you can talk about it, but let's not pretend it's a law. And we should look at all the inclusion. We want our children to be safe and healthy. And what we can do toward that, we should do. But blindly following recommendations of political bureaucrats, or political acts, active bureaucrats, is not the way to do that. Thank you.
Good evening, Sharon Meyer, Lions Bar Road. First, I want to thank all of you for all your hard work on the health and safety plan. As with everyone, pretty much my only part that I wasn't really in love with was the masking on the bus. It sort of came surprising to me, as I know in summer school there were no masks on the school buses, so nothing had really changed if we're relying upon the guidance that they've used from federal beginning of January. There were no masks on the bus during summer school, so not sure why they would be for the regular school year. Also wanted to just throw this out there that the CDC recommendation order does rely upon 42 USC and 264A as its statutory authority to apply this mask to get to public transportation, and this only applies to the spread of disease in 1, foreign countries, and 2, interstate travel, and where school buses do not apply, which we live in Pennsylvania within the district, so even if we're looking from that premise. So, otherwise, great job. The second thing I did want to talk about was one of the approvals you'll be doing for a new faculty member. It's come to my attention that Mrs. Michelle Winston will be replaced as a supervisor for special education. This is near and dear to my heart because she has been incredibly instrumental with my child in the identification of him in IEP. I also have a child on the other end of the spectrum who will be coming into the GIEP. She has been amazing. I've had wonderful interactions with her as well as her staff. I've heard nothing negative from her staff in any way, shape, or form. I find it interesting that we're hiring someone who will cost us $12,000 a year more when she has done nothing but good things for this district, and I just really, I just want to tell you, I lost a lot of sleep over her leaving. So I'm just trying to figure out why this would happen. I know that she has made her intentions aware that she would like to at some point become a superintendent and had been looking to apply for that position in the next few years. So it's interesting that her contract is not being renewed, where there is no real justification for it. So I'm just asking to, before you consider voting yes on the approval of Mr. Timothy Hanna as your supervisor for special education for $12,000 more, that you consider why it's happening. Thank you.
Okay, at this time then, we'll move on to the next items on the agenda. Thank you, Robert, for your comments. We have the business manager's report, and our business manager might be conspicuous by her absence, but she had an item that she absolutely had to do, and we understand that happens. So the superintendent will all lead us through the business manager's report.
We have provided your general fund with cafeteria treasurer's report. They're included in your packets. Have a motion.
Motion to approve those two reports.
Thank you.
Dale and yeah, I think you tied. So Dale, we'll give that to you, okay? Okay. All right. Just a discussion or question. Just to make a note there, here in the cafeteria fund report, you'll see a check for $37. To me, that's a refund. Student account overpaid, kid graduated, I got money in the district. I'd like my money back, so give me my money back. So. Right. Any other comments? And all in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
You have copies of the budgetary transfers. They have also been included into your packet, and there are 4.
Second.
Motion by Gail and second by Scott. Any questions? All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
You have been provided copies of the bills. They are included in your packet for all of the funds necessary at this point.
Bill, so second by Jen. And we have a roll call. Questions first? Questions? Discussion? We roll call on that, Superintendent.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
Dr. Geary,
Yes.
Mr. Conkle,
Yes.
Mrs. Marriott,
Yes.
Mr. Ruffin,
Yes.
Mr. Snell,
Yes.
Mr. Schimmel,
Yes.
and Mr. Albert.
Yes.
On item B, there is there any business report of any from the board tonight? Okay. Then moving to item 6, superintendent's report. Nothing this evening. All right. Let's move now to our agenda items. We have items G and P and P. This is all. All right. Superintendent, will you walk us through that?
Under General, G1, approval to resume allowing public comment from redaction on the district's YouTube videos.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion?
I'm just wondering how much time Sebastian, I know we have free IT personnel. However, I also know how many teachers there are in the district and how many students with all their laptops, iPads, Chromebooks. How much time?
Honestly, no one in our staff has been in charge of doing that yet. We've actually left it up to Mr. Carmina. He's been the one in charge of posting the videos. He runs the YouTube page, so we've kind of just let him to do that. So I can't really speak on that, unfortunately. I know that he was running into some issues with YouTube being difficult to upload to in general, I think just because of the heavy use of Google this year. But other than that, I'm not super familiar with that process.
Okay.
Board, if there's no more questions or discussion.
You know, Mr. Schimmel, we've been guided by our solicitor on this matter. And that's why we have legal guidance. Whether we follow it or not follow it. I choose to follow it. Those who want to see public comment, I'll be real honest with you, I don't see the value in it. I really don't. We're required to post minutes. Who's spoken, what they spoke about. I find it hard to believe that everybody really wants to sit there and watch the whole thing. That's what you said, one about whatever. And the biggest problem I have with this is from the guidance from our solicitor. Once that individual makes comments at the podium, and we rebroadcast them, we're now the owners of those comments.
So now we're responsible if somebody says something up there that shouldn't be said, and we don't get it pulled from the public record. Now the district is responsible. And when I say district, I mean everybody that pays taxes in the district. We're all going to get it. If somebody, and every district has this, they have taxpayers and parents that for whatever reason they have a grudge against the district. You know, maybe their daughter needs to leave into high school play, or son needs to start a position on the team, whatever it is. They have an issue with the teacher. We have people that will drive that at us, just like every district does. I am not in favor of putting the district in a position where once we do something that we don't have to do, and I'm all for transparency, and anybody knows that, but to put ourselves at risk of a legal problem down the road, I can just see the social media people saying, now look what the board did. I'm not willing to put the district at risk. I don't believe the reward is worth that risk. I think if you've seen who spoke, what they spoke about, and whether their question was answered or not, I think that's sufficient. I just don't believe that everything that somebody just said has to be put out there by the district, and now the district is at risk. So for those reasons, I oppose it. Thank you.
Mr. Ruffin, have you ever watched one of those videos?
Please address the president.
Ron, this is not a discussion between you.
It's just not.
All right.
Please address the president, please.
I watched those videos, and when you look at those videos, it also gives a count on how many times those videos were viewed. We're talking over 100, sometimes close to 200 people watch those videos. It is mostly community members that want to hear everything that's going on at the board meetings. And by everything that's going on at the board meetings, they want to hear what their fellow community members have to say in their board meetings, to see if it aligns with their thoughts and their feelings. We pay a solicitor big money to sit here in board meetings. If there is somebody speaking that will put the district in harm's way, I'll put it that way, we have a solicitor that we pay that could stop that person. We also could let everybody know that you can't speak to the board and bring up other people's kids. You can't speak to the board and do things that's going to put the district in harm's way. So I feel, to be transparent, it should be like other school boards do, and even the public comment, so the community knows what is being said at the board meetings.
I agree with Ron that I've changed my thinking since the spring, but I believe that the benefits outweigh the risks, especially with everything we're going to be discussing over the next 6 months period.
I have a question. If the YouTube video be shared by other individuals then? So once it appears on YouTube, then it's boundless in terms of how and where it can go. Thank you.
Mr. President, the initial vote on this, in my opinion, had nothing to do with transparency. It had everything to do with protecting the district. So, with that being said, I mean, that's all I understand public viewpoint on this, and
and in no way, shape, or form was the board doing this in the intention of not having transparency or taking something away from them. It was more or less something that we were trying to do to protect the district.
No more thoughts? Probably want to do a roll call vote on this.
Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Dr. Beery?
Sorry.
So yes, it means resume allowed.
The motion is approval to resume allowing public comment from the action on the district's YouTube videos.
That's cool.
So,
Meaning yes means approval.
yeah. Let's clarify yes, no, and no vote. Mr. Albert just said yes, and it says that we approve to resume allowing public comment from the action. What we're saying here is what.
I think the phone shouldn't be in there, does that make it clear? Approval to resume allowing public comment for action. I think is that what, that's a clear yes or no in my mind, yes?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
How about a yes vote means you want public comment recorded? A no vote means you do not want public comment recorded. Can we do it real simple?
The wording of that, Ron, how do you prefer to have that word interpreted?
The easiest thing to do would be take 2 words out, and that's from redaction.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right. So
Does that mean that all public comment will be put on, but except if a student's name is brought up, or a teacher is brought up? That will be taken out.
But
That will be taken out.
That's, we haven't included that in the motion, but that's where the rubber is really. Sue, as far as the second of that motion, you okay with those removing the words?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this person, absolute clarity. Yes, vote means you approve having the public comment recorded. And a no vote means you do not want public comment recorded.
Correct.
Thank you.
I mean, is it implied in there that we will strip? Okay. All right. We're going to do a roll call. Roll call on this, Superintendent.
G1 as amended, Mr. Albert?
Yes.
Dr. Beery?
Yes.
Mr. Conkle?
Yes.
Mrs. Marriott?
Yes.
Mr. Ruffin?
No.
Mr. Snell?
Yes.
Mr. Schimmel?
No.
Mr. Ulmer?
No.
Motion carries. G2, approval of Montoursville Area School District Health and Safety Plan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
There are a few things in here that I as I read through them, I think it's important that, you know, as far as the law is concerned, we follow the law, but as far as the recommendations, I think we need to change the wording that as far as CDC and EOH that we be considered. Instead of follow.
It's under I.
Under I, I'm sorry.
Yes, and following along with that, striking the word mandates, which I think is vague. The district will follow the laws and applicable regulations. I believe it's more specific, but mandates should be taken out of there.
So the district will follow the recommendations.
The laws and applicable regulations. I think those are the only two things with that.
Consider, not follow, consider.
Yeah, I'm using the word regulation, not recommendation, which I thought is also something we were required to follow. Follow the laws.
Again, what did you recommend? Suggest we should
Strike out follow and replace with consider in section 5. Okay. And it also sees that each state Montoursville district will follow the recommendations of CDC. Change that to consider.
That is for students with disabilities.
Jumping back to I, it references PD and UH twice. If it read, the district will, as appropriate, follow the recommendations made by PD, DOH. You leave it that simple? No?
I guess my only question is it different for students with medical disabilities? I think that's the only place CDC is in there, but I just wasn't sure.
So I jumped back to
Yeah, so maybe I might not have read through as much as I should have on the each part. I was more concerned about the CDC and the way.
And I think what, and I don't want to put words into Danny's mouth, but I think what he's saying, and I agree with Mr. President, is the district will consider the laws of the Pennsylvania Department of Education and Pennsylvania Department of Health and review any recommendations made by the Pennsylvania Department of Education and Pennsylvania Department of Health. It needs to be considered because our district isn't the same as districts in Philadelphia, Harrisburg. We need to do what's best for our district, not let the state tell us what's good for somebody else's district, and we have to follow it.
Well, I think you accomplish the same thing by getting rid of mandates.
Are we required to follow the state laws?
Yeah, as far as the law is concerned, but I'm saying as far as, the law, that's different than the CDC and the DOH. I mean, did you mention that you wanted mandates taken out of it?
Oh, yes, I did.
So based on you're back to right here?
Yes.
Okay. So based on the discussions, can someone recite what we think we're saying here? It says the district will consider the laws of PDE and DOH and review any recommendations made by PDE and DOH. Is that it?
I thought we had to explicitly follow the law, but.
I mean, the law is law, but when it comes to CDC
DOH says.
CGC is guidelines, right? Then they're not laws.
Right, so that's why I'm saying the consideration of it versus following.
The district will evaluate the laws. Yeah. So, who's going to evaluate the law?
Council, can you interject here, please? You have, there's a couple of laws and regulations that we have to follow, mandates, recommendation guidance, you should consider that. The laws and regulations have to follow. I think you have to learn almost there, breaking, you have to follow mandates. Follow the laws and follow the regulations, you have to get there, consider them the other night. Right on the also, the advisor. Try to pick him up.
Everybody's saying the same thing, but nobody's wording it.
We have that one set, yes.
I'm not sure. I didn't hear a final reading by anybody. When something happened, I'm not sure what the board wants.
Dave, I'm having a lot of difficulty following what's going on. I really wish we had some sort of viewing on the screens here. I'm looking at what I thought was the last edition that I saved to my books and iPad. I'm not sure that I really have the last one now. Thank you. I think this thing is very deep.
So if they work in the space,
So, board, am I hearing that we agree that as follows, the district will follow the laws of PDE and DOH and review any recommendations made by PDE and DOH. You're striking and mandate. I'm talking about the laws. Is that?
PDE does not make laws.
I think I'm interpreting that the laws associated with PDs. I know what you're saying, exactly. The CD does not make laws.
And Dave, that's why we should put the word consider there. I mean, we will consider, but we need to be the ones that determine whether this district follows that mandate or that. If they want to call the law, they can call the law all they want, but it's not a law. And that's why Danny, I believe that's why Danny feels, and so do I agree with him, that follow should be struck and consider should be replaced in that word.
How about this as an alternative? The district will follow the laws of Pennsylvania and review any recommendations made by PDE and DOE. That works.
Could we change that wording just a little bit to the district will follow Pennsylvania law? And consider recommendations from Pennsylvania Department of Education, so on and so forth.
The district will follow Pennsylvania law. And
What's the difference between the district will follow the laws of Pennsylvania and the district will follow the Pennsylvania laws?
Well, I think it's the way that it's worded. It could be construed as Pennsylvania Department of Education is Pennsylvania law, which it's not.
so the district will follow PA law. And instead of review,
And then consider mandates.
consider recommendations.
The recommendations.
So instead of review, consider any recommendations. I recommend you strike out any of this. And consider recommendations made by PDE or DOE. So board, this the wording. The district will follow PA law and consider recommendations made by PDE or DOE.
I'm good with that.
All right, okay, all right.
Okay, I have, since we got that one settled, I have a couple more concerns. First, I believe Brenda Oberheim brought up on F. I do believe, I agree with her that instead of just school buildings, it should say on any school district property.
I would agree.
I mean, we all know that testing, we've seen the tents, and if that's not specified, it would open up to tents being on the property.
So would normal testing be allowed on any school district property?
Correct.
And as the committee developed this, what was the committee's intent when they said within the school building? Yes, instead of within school property?
I believe it was the intent to not have, because we talked about making sure that we weren't bringing sick people in to the buildings and making sure that we weren't doing things that would have an effect on others.
I would feel that changed the property.
I don't think that's a problem.
Okay. My next concern is right above that in E. And the concern I have is, I think we're singling out people, students that could possibly be left behind in that, because of family finances. Not everybody has insurance to pay for testing, so if a parent wanted to, if a child was said that they need to, be quarantined, and the family has insurance that would pay for testing. All they have to do is provide that testing as proof, and then they wouldn't be quarantined, or positive antibody testing. Not every family in our district has insurance. Not every family in our district has the financial means to spend money. There's parents without insurance. I'd like to see EASER's funds, if a family can show the need, I would like to see EASER's fund used for testing of those parents or those children that are in those families that are financially strapped. I think that would equal the playing field where all students would be treated as equals, because a child shouldn't be left out just because they can't get the antibody test or the test approval.
How will we measure that? How will we measure that?
Failure this month. Failure this month.
Especially attended quarantine, I mean, that can have a big effect on your academics.
Absolutely.
So.
What happens to the student that is quarantined 3 and 4 times a year and loses all them days? If the family doesn't have the ability to pay for the testing, they're out the whole quarantine period. If the ones that can get testing, if their insurance, they have insurance or the finances in their family to do it, they don't need to be out if they test negative or they test positive for antibodies.
Yeah, that was a big impact last year on our district with the quarantines and how it was developed and what was done through DOE and that experience in the first one. I was very dissatisfied with the outcomes with most everything I got hung up on many times. But I think in E, definitely I would strike out, will continue to follow and fix those 3 words with the district will consider the Pennsylvania Department of Health contact tracing requirements and get rid of, the follow part. And that way that eliminates, because most of that comes from where?
Can you understand the need for the public as well as the
I will have to look to see how they can be used. I'm wondering if they didn't provide us the option to test on site for cases like that.
Because if funds are set aside but not used, those, how does the district acquire this fund? Don't we have to spend, document the spending on it first before we actually,
I am pretty sure that there will be something available to us to allow for testing. And I'm pretty sure that we can do something to pay for that. I would just need to double check that it fits the parameters how you need to do that as a free and reduced option. Because I just want to make sure.
And something, while we're talking about contact tracing, and I don't know this for a fact, Annie, you were involved with it, them contacting you. I've been told that one of the questions that they ask when they contact you is, how does your, or what is your student, what sex does your student identify as? And if that is truly a question that they ask, that's very concerning to me. What does that have to do with sexual orientation? Right. So what does that have to do with the COVID? It has nothing to do with COVID. Why are they asking a question like that?
I would refuse to answer anything that they would ask that doesn't have to do with COVID.
And Danny, thanks for letting me know. But it was reported to me that that was one of the questions.
We don't have our medical person here tonight, but perhaps our other doctor has some insights on this. But the second bullet says voluntarily providing proof of positive antibody testing. And my understanding is that the antibody testing is different than PCR testing, what they're looking for. Sue, can you explain?
Yeah, I emailed my biology professor friends, and it would be, it's not the PCR testing, it's the antibody testing.
So antibody testing essentially says, oh, you had it.
Right, now
PCR
this
says
should be dated within the prior 3 months. It's a little unclear how long those antibodies last, but I mean, I'm okay with saying voluntarily providing proof, and it's a blood test.
Yeah, our kids all gave blood, and they had COVID back last December, and Hannah and the guys, Hannah all came back with the antibodies, still had the antibodies.
Okay.
And I did find out too that they're no longer, if you go get blood, they're no longer offering the antibody test.
So if you wanted, it would be an expense.
It was, because they're not offering it no longer, or as a, when you're giving blood, they have that option. So does this allow, with this early return, let's say, presenting from quarantine, or at least cutting the quarantine short, do we have a mechanism to allow a PCR test that can cut that short? I mean, how do we?
The committee's purpose was to shorten the quarantine period as much as possible for students. So whatever quarantine.
Yeah, fair enough. This would also apply to a positive PCR test. If someone has a positive PCR test, they should isolate for 10 days, but then if they are exposed again in the 3 months afterwards, they do not need to quarantine. So the positive PCR test is a little bit different. At the time, you should isolate, but then you're safe for 3 months after.
We will say, knowing firsthand that DOH's follow-up protocols, they didn't even do one phone call and a few texts. It was, I think they are so overloaded, and this is all new to them. And to the degree they don't know what to do, they don't know how to deal with this. It was sad. I didn't mind not getting a phone call, I'll tell you that.
I just think we should make, I think there should be a way that you can make every student equal, and regardless of their family finances.
We, would that necessarily need to be in the plan, or make that a separate motion?
I don't think it should be part of the public safety.
Right, no, this is not the issue.
It's a separate issue.
Well,
We should address that as.
and I'm not saying it should be part of it. I think if we are voting on a health and safety plan, I think we need to have that back it up at the same time. That, I mean, not in the health and safety plan, but
It's understood. Understood, yeah. No, I agree.
The thing is, we can change this as we go. This isn't concrete.
I'd like to see one suggestion developed as a separate idea and brought back by the administration for the board to act on it. You know, that way, get all this in September.
Other items, board?
and I think we need to change the word follow to consider.
How? Consider would mean, well, how would consider flesh itself out? What would it look like if the district were considering, the contact tracing requirements? How would that work? It's a general word, and I can keep it that way too.
Well, what South has, we will continue to work with the Pennsylvania Department of Health regarding contact tracing. Is that a nice compromise? Because
Yeah, I mean, that's basically consider any word from except follow in that regard for.
So how about work with? That's a nice big mushy word.
So, okay, so, district
We would be saying, continue to work with the Pennsylvania Department of Health regarding contact tracing of students and staff. Individuals will be isolated and quarantined according to the latest guidelines in place. Are we leaving in then the exceptions?
I think Sue was suggesting that, just in that very first line, that the district will continue to work with PDE, PUH, on contact tracing requirements, so we'll leave it go at that.
I think that works. No pun intended.
But I guess I do like those two exclusions for quarantine. I guess is that all?
No, I mean, just the first sentence, Sue, we would tweak that first sentence.
Yes.
And everything else stays. So the district will continue to work with the Department of Health contact tracing. Regarding contact tracing requirements. Still some of the language.
I think we also need to look at A. In May, when the board voted to make masks optional, was that vote reported to Pennsylvania Department of Education? And so it was reported. And what did Pennsylvania Department of Education come back with?
The department had provided prior to the vote in April, the state had sent a General Houston that I forwarded to all of you, that we don't have the authority to make that decision. Then the vote came, and they were alerted that that was our vote and that was our position. I heard nothing.
And I think you heard nothing, okay, well, my opinion anyway, you heard nothing because, the Pennsylvania Department of Education can't make laws. And, the CDC can't make laws. And I think that's why you didn't hear anything, my opinion. I'm against kids having to wear masks, period, if they don't want to or their parents don't want to. If they want to wear masks, I fully support them. But if they don't want to wear masks, I support them.
I guess I would want some reassurance that we're not risking losing our federal bus reimbursed. Is it state or federal?
Board, Ron A. Have you stalled? I would be curious to know whether that is actually a federal statute, whether it truly is a federal statute that was established, or was it a CDC guidance and recommendation? I've got that evaluation on equals. So it's a CDC order, we treated it a sort of statute law requirement. The question is, thanks for the information, CDC, but we don't think we can make law. So we're going to do what we think is best for our district. Now, how we're going to do this.
That's exactly how I view it.
We have the exceptions for the exceptions for the contact tracing that why if we have vaccinations and positive antibody testing and referring students, why would we require them to wear masks? I wonder about that. It seems to me the exceptions certainly should apply here.
Well, I guess technically we can pass it one way, and if we find out incontrovertibly, you know, that we lose our 12% of federal funding or something, technically we could put it on the agenda in August, right?
Okay, are you saying like if we change the wording like we did?
Well, yeah, we provided exceptions
Yeah, but the initial wording, you can change it like you did in the other, what was it, I that we changed it in?
No, I was saying that any contact tracing, we have exceptions to the quarantining. Why shouldn't we have exceptions to the mandatory masking on buses? Why should a student be vaccinated or one who has positive antibodies be required to mask?
Well, Sharon said that in the summer school they were required to wear masks on the buses. Right?
And we just hedge it a little bit and take out the word will and say may. And as we get to the fall, yeah, as we get to the fall, there is this definite need, and so be it. But right now, let's just say may.
Well, you know, as I read what A says, universal and correct wearing of masks. We cast our lot on page 24. Why do we need that second paragraph?
I agree. Do away with the whole second paragraph.
The homeowner code will adjust. Would? Yeah, I get rid of it. Second paragraph, right? Yep.
Yeah, Royal Sac and South both just say will not be required to wear face coverings on district transportation unless an order is issued by the Pennsylvania Department of Health. So I don't know if you want to chop it out altogether, but
I think especially with student practice, this is a CDC recommendation, not a statute. I'm just to be careful.
It's just not even, there's nothing to talk about it, seems to be, right? It's just strike the second paragraph, and you can go with that. No? Yeah, it's that second paragraph.
I think the first paragraph comes up.
Yeah, exactly. Right. All right. Anything else for it? I thought it would take longer.
Will you read that to us? Which ladies
So, actually, you only need to read the ones that the letters that we changed, because we have some of them that we didn't touch.
All right. Then E, the district will continue to work with, we strike out follow the. Well, we would only see if something works. It just, no. Now, the district will continue to work with PDH regarding contact tracing requirements. When we have the balance of that, the exceptions, it's still, we didn't change that. Okay? Then F, the second sentence will read, nor will testing be allowed on any school district property. And the balance stays the same. Motion makers, you okay so far? And I, the district will follow Pennsylvania law and consider recommendations made by Pennsylvania Department of Education and Pennsylvania Department of Health. Motion makers? All right. Okay. So with that, we have the approval of those motions, those making the motion, those amendments, changes. So all in favor, say aye. 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 Opposed? Ayes have it.
And we are going to have, in the next board meeting, discuss and come up with a solution to make every student equal on P.
Yeah. You can't, the superintendent says you can't guarantee all this, and also we might be bound the way we don't know, but I think between our business manager and superintendent and the idea of supplanting funds, we probably can make some things happen. Yeah, G3 was the policy. So we're working on that. So can we table that since it's already been striking it doesn't do anything to bringing it back, right? There's a motion needed to strike it. No. So we'll strike G3 because we'll be revisiting that in August.
G4, approval of an agreement between Montoursville Area School District and STEP Incorporated.
Move to approve. Second. Questions? Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
G5, approval of a request from Michael Tate, Montoursville Silver Bullets, C.E. McCall Middle School softball field from June the 15th to August the 5th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Second.
Questions? Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Approval of a request from Justin Jones, FC Montour, C.E. McCall School and Williston Valley Elementary School soccer fields, August the 2nd, 2021 to November the 14th of 2021, 5 to 7.
Second. Questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
G7, approval of a request from Andrea Lucas, Montoursville Little League, Leiter Elementary Baseball Field, June the 11th, 2021 to October 22nd, 2021.
Move to approve.
Second. Questions? Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
G8, approval of an agreement between Montoursville Area School District and River Valley Regional YMCA.
Second. Questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
G9, approval of an agreement between Montoursville Area School District and Williamsport Area School District.
Questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
B1, approval of the following addition to the professional staff effective 2021-2022 school year. Ms. Melissa Balliet, for health and physical education teacher, Master Step 1, $50,980, replacing Mike Silla, as well as the athletic director position as a stipend of $4,000. Is Melissa here? Did not see it. Okay.
Questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
E2, approval of the following resignation from a member of the coaching staff.
Questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
E3, approval of the following resignation from a member of the support staff, Tricia Moser, paraprofessional, effective July the 8th of 2021.
Second.
Questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
E4, approval of the following unpaid leave of absences from a member of the staff, as noted.
Second.
Questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
E5, approval of the following addition to the administrative staff, Mr. Timothy Hanner as the supervisor of special education,
$104,000 prorated with an effective date of September 20th of 2021. Mr. Manner is here. If you would like to come and share your professional background with us and any other sentiments, that would be great. Thank you.
Good evening. I've been working in the field of special education for over 20 years now. I started my professional career in the Binghamton City School District as a middle school life skills teacher. I worked in that district for several years and then wanted to return home to the Williamsport area. So I applied for various positions and was hired at the last intermediate in 17. There, I was hired to be a life skills teacher at the high school level, and was able to be hosted. That program was hosted here at the Montoursville area school district. So from August 2010 or 2000 to August of 2010, I was a teacher at Montoursville High School through the IU, and was welcomed by both the administration and staff, and worked very closely with them. Well, during this period of time, I went back and completed my administrative certificate, and then took on the responsibility of supervising the IU's extended school year program. In 2010, I was promoted into an administrative position as supervisor of special education in the East Lycoming School District as a contracted service for the IU. I remained there for 3 years and then transitioned into a position at the IU as the IU classroom supervisor. I stayed there for 7 years and finished my career at the IU as the Assistant Director of Student Services. While at the IU in various roles, I supervised classroom program teachers and paraprofessionals, the teachers at our partial program that was hosted at BSI, non-public school teachers, the Explorer program coordinator and job coaches, contracted occupational and physical therapy staff, as well as the staff that was at the Braille Center in Harrisburg. For the last year, I've been working as a supervisor of special education in the Wellsboro area school district. And I'm really looking forward to working closely with the administration and staff here in Montoursville moving forward. It's kind of, for me, like returning home. So I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Do the motion of the fire.
Motion to approve.
Questions?
Yeah, I have a few questions. First question I have is, when does the contract with the IU end?
The contract with the IU has ended already.
When was that?
I don't have an exact date, but I can get an exact date from Dr. Reed.
Well, I see here that this employee won't be starting until September 20th. Is that correct?
That is correct.
When it was brought to us to have an employee in-house who was on our payroll, we'll put it that way, for supervisor of special education, and take it out of the hands of the IU, we were told two things were positive by doing that. And the first thing was that it would save us money. The second thing was it would give us an employee, a 12-month employee instead of a 9-month employee.
260 to 205. What we had was 205. We're moving to a 260.
Right, and so what you're saying is during the summer months, the person we had from the IU did nothing for the district at all during the summer months. Is that what you're saying?
I did not say that, no. 205 days versus 260.
Right, but, those shortened days are the summer months, correct?
What shortened days, the schedule, you're either 205 with the IU, or you're 260 plus.
The 205 is during the school year, correct? Where the kids are in school.
Yes.
So what I'm asking is, over the summer, that IU employee did nothing for the district at all, over the summer?
The IU employee is contracted for 205
You're not
days.
answering my question.
I am answering your question, Ron.
I'm asking you, did that IU employee ever do anything for the district during those summer months?
You are asking me to recall something from a summer that was past, which would have been a COVID summer. Was that an IU employee there? Yes, there were times that IU employee was there. Yes.
So we was actually getting more than 205 days out of that employee?
If that employee decided to be there more than 205, yes.
Okay. What employee is going to, up until September 20th, what employee is going to take over for things that that employee might have done during the summer months?
We have already started rearranging the schedules. We have already started working with the secretary who is in that department. We've already started working with the person who does all the psychology testing and the pieces of that department to see where things will align. And we can actually ask Mr. Hanner if he is available for some of those dates and those meetings.
And where is the monetary savings?
Monetary savings is there. It was presented to you on the 8th.
Yeah, and there was no savings there when you.
There is a savings there.
When you figure in $104,000 and
There is a
benefits.
savings. I don't know where you are getting that there's not a savings. There is a savings. You saw it on paper, it was calculated, and you have it.
Yes, Christine, he was going 205 versus 200 and.
No, I was not. I was giving you two candidates, and I was giving you what the contract currently is.
That's not what I recall. That's all I got.
I have paper if you need to recall.
Mr. Sherman, was that the 9 o'clock meeting,
Another 20 we would have. When we started at 7. Okay. All right, board, then, hearing no more questions for discussion. Mr. President, is it appropriate if I ask for the executive session at this moment? Prior to the vote? Sure. Am I allowed to do that? Yeah. I'd like to ask for executive session. Sure. Part of this public. You do an executive session.
They approved her, at least for it, at 8 o'clock. Her was cool. Just to her and said, you're good. The next morning she put it.
Get a picture of it.
That's scary. Yeah. Watch the cable.
After COVID, about $30,000. 30,000 summer and winter. Summer classes, yeah. 15,000 for government, so yeah, something they would be able to keep back up on fees. Then 150,000 lost time because so it all has a split point by cost. 2,875,000. No, right. Well, usually what I do is my mom and get it. Wait, now I got it is. It's all good either way. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, probably should have this meeting forever. I just, I was having all of it. I had them do tricks because I wanted to see how long it takes. We'll also have like a personal later. I'm fine. Oh yeah. I'm gonna still. He was here for quite a while. Originally had but I decided to get to that. I got one. Broke my neck in contract.
got 20 years left.
Yeah, put Yeah, I'll see you afterwards.
Keep it right with me because I was going to change it. You don't know if like 10 of them were just changed, you know. Shit has changed.
That executive session was for personnel matters. We took about 8 minutes, so we will have to extend by 9:28. Consent before we can't make it through. And so we have motion in a second. With that, you want a roll call vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No. No.
Appears has been 6-2 in favor.
Hey, I got it back, but we didn't have a motion.
We did. We did have a motion.
Okay.
Welcome, Tim. Thank you. Under transportation, T1, approval of promised land busing rates in the amount of $2,701.38 and $2,133.41 for June of 2021.
Questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
That concludes the agenda items.
Other reports, and move along to the committee reports. And Madam Vice President's on here, I'll go before her. No PSBA report from her tonight, please. Policy committee, do you have anything for us?
Now I'll have that policy draft for the August meeting.
Well, you don't have it. You don't have it right now. All right. IU representative.
I've got the report.
LCTC, that's mine. I fully intended to attend last Thursday, but our vacation logistics got away. I could not attend. Memorial Gardens.
First, I need to publicly thank Ditcher and Ditcher Tree Service. On Friday morning, the neighbors had a tree come down in Memorial Gardens, very large limb. Early morning, the owner contacted Ditcher. Ditcher, they were there within an hour, grabbed it, cut it up. So I need to say thank you prior to the event. So, other than that, we did have a significant anonymous donation. Basic price, right? Can I tell the amount? We have $10,000 given to the Memorial Gardens Foundation. So we'll be looking to do some improvements and things there. So other than that,
Budget? Mr. Albert, anything for us on budget? Buildings and grounds? Mr. Albert?
Not really much to report on other than Joe, how his the roof systems are really working out on the new buildings that will be in the past year. A few issues, are they cleared up?
Getting better, yep.
Montoursville Foundation, Mr. Allman? And the extracurricular committee, Conklin?
No,
nothing there, but I do need to back up the Memorial Gardens. I want to thank Mr. Donato there, his staff. When we pulled the trees out, or the shrubs out, that were dead, Joe and his crew spoke to him, along with getting some topsoil from the borough. His guys pulled out the stumps and reseeded and did it, and it looks really good. So I want to say thank you to your staff for helping us out there.
Thank you. This time, then, the last item on the agenda, and that's the public comment, in 3 minutes per person. Residents and taxpayers comment on the matters of official action, build any deliberation for the board, any other matters of interest, and provide that 3-minute time frame. Okay. Tell us your name and your address, and I'd like your comments.
Pamela Nelson, 225 Bank Street. I just wanted to reiterate a couple of things you went over on the health and safety plan tonight. My only concern with I do think you need to make sure that the wording does state that any legal requirements are still being followed, and talking to the lawyer as far as where the mandates and orders come into legal requirements. I'm not a lawyer, but my little bit of research says that those still fall into legal requirements because they're given legal authority or whatever. But, so, just make sure you're checking the word on those. Anything else I agree with as far as just if recommendations and things like that, just make sure you're checking the word on that. As far as the vaccines, currently the vaccines are all offered at no cost, so there should be no economic concerns there. As far as the recommendation of looking to add that into the ESERs, which I don't know if that's allowed or not, but then I think you would go back against your point F on here where you're saying you're not doing any diagnostics or screening or testing on your health and screening. So just those types of things. If you are going to look at offering antibody testing and vaccines and things like that under ESERs, then I think you're counteracting the point where you don't want any diagnostic testing by the district. So, and again, just making sure that the legal counsel or whatever is, those mandates, orders, and laws where those words cross. Thank you.
So this is definitely more than ever a question that's been on my list, and I'm just going to say the question so that if anyone wants to get back to me, like Mrs. Basin or anything like that, with the specifics on this question, it would be much appreciated. So you don't have to answer it now, but how much is our new solicitor paid in comparison to our old solicitor? And how much travel time do we pay him to travel to and from his county? I believe his county is Montgomery County, so that's quite a bit away. And we could possibly find someone from around this area, which then takes me to my next point about having people employed by our district from this area. Mrs. Williamson is from our area. She is a parent and a resident of the Montoursville district. Everyone that I've spoken to about Mrs. Williamson said she did an exemplary job, and yes, she did. Yes, she did work during the summer. So she put in a lot of extra hours because she cares about our children. She worked really hard to bring a lot of kids up to speed, and she expressed how sad she was that she wasn't able to work in our district anymore. So I'd also like to make the point that Mrs. Basin had said to Michelle at one point, she should pick her friends more wisely. That was the statement. She should pick her friends more wisely. And yes, she is one of my friends, and I am very outspoken to this board, and I have fought for our kids' rights, my kids' rights, tooth and nail. And I would hope that it is not because of who her friends are that this has happened. I'd like that put into the minutes, please. Thank you.
Sharon Meyer, Lyons Barlow, Fairfield Township. So this was with 3 minutes, I only have so much to cover on my list. But this one is very important to me as well, and it's the class size at Later Elementary School. By class size, I mean amount of students per class. I believe I wrote a letter to everyone on the school board, as well as the superintendent. I just am trying to figure out, and especially now that we won't have a special education director until the 20th of September, when we have a second grade class going into third grade that has 3 IEP classes with already 20 students in them, which is high, because I have a son who's an IEP student who's topped out usually at 18, so 20 is very difficult, I may add. 2 classes are 24 students. Those kids are going from second grade to third grade, and they're going down 1 teacher. And so they're only going to have 4 teachers, and that's going to make those IEP classes top out around 23, 24, and those regular classes top out at 30. I don't know if you've been around a lot of third graders lately, but I have. I have a gifted IEP and a regular IEP. And let me tell you, 23 kids in that room is unacceptable, especially after how much they've been through. I mean, I'm grateful for the fact that they went to summer school, but please don't do it to those kids in that grade. You need to find the resources to get another teacher. I don't understand how, yes, they've always had X amount of teachers in third grade. Well, you all know the class size. I mean, there should be a strategy for each building. How many kids are in each class? Accommodate it, please. I'm just asking before the school year starts to make sure that you have 5 teachers in that third grade class, and not to put these kids at more of a disadvantage than they already are at.
I'd like to apologize for speaking from outside the floor. I was online, I'll be in better behavior. But I would like to relay, my opening remarks are very much, I think, Sharon Moore's remarks, is let's watch that we're not being penny wise and pound foolish. Get kind of caught in some of these details and forget that there's mechanisms by which children learn, which come down to class sizes, which come down to facilities, and keeping it all balanced. So I think you guys arrived at a great work product that's workable on your health safety plan, but I would encourage the board to continue to move to some of these harder issues and just bring you back at the core of how we're going to manage education in the long term. So thank you.
Okay, the board, the meeting at the end now, and unless there's something for good order, we otherwise will in 1 minute we will need to extend the meeting. So
I'd like to extend this for a couple more minutes. Motion to extend.
Second?
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's it.
Mr. President, the reason why I wanted to extend it is because I'd like to have added on the agenda for the next meeting, a motion to approve a resolution for the Montoursville Area School District to oppose public school and publicly funded charter schools curriculum, instruction, or material promoting critical race theory or advocating similar divisive concepts relating to sex, race, ethnicity, color, or national origin. I think that's really important, and that's why I think it was imperative that we did extend the meeting so we can get that taken care of in our next board meeting.
And stuff like that. I know exactly what you're talking about, and you know my thoughts on it, and I want to be proactive, I don't want to be reactive about it. I want us to only say something about it, you know, just have a good solid statement, because sometimes you say too quickly, oh, I couldn't have worded better, so, you know. Okay. Yeah, it'd be a resolution, yeah. And that might be something maybe we end up tweaking the language next month, so. What? Well, he just wants to know what's on the agenda as a resolution. No, it'd be a resolution item for next meeting.
To vote on next week, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a resolution. Does a resolution carry the effect of policy? Really doesn't. It depends on what's in the resolution. All right. Well, that's an item for discussion for sure. All right. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Is that your motion?
Move to adjourn?
All right, Scott, second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?